The most dangerous moment in a marriage is when your wife stops fearing your absence. Olivia ended our marriage in 14 seconds. She stood at the kitchen counter scrolling through her phone while I reheated leftover pasta from the night before. Then she sighed like she was canceling a dentist appointment and said, "I don't love you anymore, Ethan." That was it. No tears. No shaking voice. No guilt. Her thumb kept moving across the screen while she said it. I remember staring at the microwave timer because my brain refused to process her sentence before the numbers hit 0. 3 years earlier, Olivia used to wait by the front door when I came home from work trips. She used to steal my hoodies and complain whenever I answered late-night emails during dinner. Somewhere along the way, I became furniture inside my own marriage. Useful, predictable, replaceable. The terrifying part wasn't her confession. The terrifying part was how prepared she sounded. Like she had practiced the sentence in her head for weeks, maybe months. I set the plate on the table and finally looked at her. "When did you decide that?" She locked her phone and shrugged. "I think it happened slowly." Slowly. Funny word. A marriage takes years to build and one lazy sentence to bury. I studied her face, waiting for regret to show up. Nothing. Her eyes looked calm, relieved, even. That hit harder than anger ever could. Most people think betrayal arrives with screaming or lipstick stains or hidden hotel receipts. Real betrayal looks quieter. It looks like your wife checking Instagram while your future collapses 6 feet away from her. Olivia crossed her arms. "Please don't make this dramatic." That line almost made me laugh. Dramatic. I spent 11 years financing her graduate degree, helping her mother through surgery, covering every mortgage payment during her career changes, and building retirement accounts under both our names. Last winter, I refinanced the house at a lower interest rate because Olivia wanted a bigger kitchen island and imported quartz countertops from Arizona. 2 months ago, I met with a financial advisor to restructure our investment portfolio because I planned to surprise her with a beach property near Sarasota before she turned 36. While she mentally exited the marriage, I kept expanding it. I walked to my office downstairs after dinner and opened the spreadsheet tracking our joint assets. Brokerage accounts, emergency funds, property tax records, shared credit cards, retirement contributions. Olivia thought emotionally. I thought structurally. Years in project management trained my brain to analyze collapse before panic arrived. My hand stayed steady while I reviewed every account tied to my name. Then I noticed something strange. 3 transfers hit our joint checking account during the last 6 weeks. Small amounts. $1,200 here, $900 there. Each transfer moved into a separate savings account, ending in numbers I didn't recognize. My chest tightened. Olivia handled most household purchases, but I monitored every major account every Sunday night. Those transfers never appeared before. I clicked deeper into the banking history and found the account owner name attached to the withdrawals. Olivia Carter. Individual account. Recently opened. Balance unavailable. I leaned back slowly. My wife had already started building an exit plan before she spoke a single word to me. Upstairs, I heard her laugh softly at something on her phone while I stared at the screen, realizing one brutal truth. Olivia didn't just fall out of love with me. She prepared for my replacement. The next morning, Olivia left for work at exactly 7:40 a.m. carrying the same iced coffee she bought every Tuesday from the cafe near her office. I watched her reverse out of the driveway through the security app connected to our garage camera. Then I opened my laptop and started dismantling my marriage like a controlled demolition project. Most people leave emotionally first. I handled logistics first. I transferred half of our joint checking balance into a separate account under my name according to the recommendation buried inside the post-nuptial agreement Olivia signed 4 years earlier after her freelance tax issues nearly triggered an IRS audit. I downloaded 12 months of financial records, exported every transaction into encrypted cloud storage, and forwarded copies to my attorney, Richard Levinson. Richard specialized in high-asset divorces. He also hated surprises. Document everything before she realizes the structure changed, he told me during our call that morning. People grow honest after consequences arrive. I walked room to room, carrying black storage bins from the garage. I packed only what I purchased before the marriage or what legally counted as separate property under Illinois law. My watches, my father's vinyl collection, my desktop workstation, the espresso machine Olivia claimed she hated until guests visited. I left the dining table, the sectional couch, the artwork, and every wedding photo hanging on the walls. Around noon, I logged into our smart home dashboard and removed my biometric access from the property. Then I disabled location sharing between our phones. That step mattered more than I expected. 4 years Olivia tracked my ETA home from work, checked my grocery runs, monitored my airport arrivals during conferences. She framed it as closeness. Looking back, she managed information like a risk analyst protecting a portfolio. The moment I revoked access, my phone buzzed with a notification from her. Why did location sharing disappear? No greeting, no emotion, just surveillance awareness. I ignored the message and kept packing. At 2:15 p.m., I opened the filing cabinet in my office and found something that tightened my chest harder than the hidden bank account. Olivia had printed apartment listings from downtown Chicago. Several pages carried handwritten notes in blue ink. Good natural light. Closer to Daniel's office. Month-to-month lease possible. Daniel. The same Daniel Brooks from her marketing team who suddenly appeared in every conversation during the past 6 months. I took photos of every page before sliding them back into the folder exactly how I found them. My attorney replied 20 minutes later after reviewing the account transfers. You moved at the right time. Another 60 days and asset positioning could have become ugly. Asset positioning. Strange phrase for the collapse of 11 years. By late afternoon, the house looked untouched except for my office shelves and closet. I placed my wedding ring beside Olivia's favorite ceramic bowl near the kitchen island. Then I wrote 4 words on a sticky note. Take care of yourself. No accusations. No speech. Silence carries more weight when somebody expects chaos. I loaded the last storage bin into my SUV and drove toward a furnished apartment 30 miles north that Richard's firm used for clients during separation cases. Halfway there, my phone vibrated again. Olivia. 3 missed calls in under 2 minutes. Then another text arrived. Why is your office empty? I stared at the screen for several seconds before locking the phone and setting it face down in the passenger seat. 5 minutes later, the security app sent one final notification from the house camera. Motion detected. Kitchen. I opened the live feed and watched Olivia standing beside the counter, holding my wedding ring in one hand, while scrolling through our joint bank account on her phone with the other. Her face had changed. The confidence from last night was gone. By midnight, Olivia had called me 19 times. She sent 6 texts, then switched tactics and emailed my work account with the subject line, "Please answer me." I read every message from the apartment kitchen while eating microwave lasagna from a plastic tray. Funny how fast a marriage collapses into digital evidence. Her first messages carried irritation. Where are you? Why would you do this during the work week? Richard from the bank called asking about account authorization. By the 10th message, irritation turned into panic. Ethan, answer the phone. This is insane. You scared me. That line stayed in my head longer than it should have. You scared me. Olivia spent months preparing a secret financial exit route while expecting me to stay emotionally available on command. The imbalance fascinated me more than it hurt. She wanted freedom with surveillance access still attached. Around 1 a.m., I opened the smart home system again and reviewed activity logs from the past 90 days. I wanted clarity before emotions contaminated my judgment. Door entries. Garage timestamps. Security camera motion. Triggers. My system archived everything automatically because I worked remote several days each month and liked redundancy. That habit suddenly became valuable. Daniel Brooks appeared in the logs more often than I expected. Tuesday nights. Thursday afternoons. One Saturday when I attended a cybersecurity conference in Milwaukee. Olivia always explained those visits as team projects because Daniel managed digital branding campaigns with her department. Team projects rarely lasted past 10:30 p.m. inside a married couple's home. I exported the logs into another encrypted folder and forwarded copies to Richard. 10 minutes later, he replied with one sentence. Keep collecting patterns before confrontation. Richard understood leverage better than anybody I knew. Most divorces explode because people chase emotional victories instead of strategic positioning. I plan to avoid both. At 2:17 a.m., my phone rang again. Olivia. I finally answered. Silence filled the line for 2 seconds before she spoke. Where are you staying? Her voice sounded thinner now. Less controlled. Safe, I said. That is not an answer. It is enough of one. I heard movement in the background, cabinet doors opening and closing. Olivia always reorganized things when stress hit her. You emptied your office, she said quietly. You moved money. Half the money. You talked to a lawyer already? There it was. Fear finally entered the conversation. Olivia never feared emotional damage. She feared losing structural control. You opened a separate account first, I replied. Complete silence. Then a sharp inhale. I pictured her standing frozen in the kitchen, trying to calculate how much I knew. You went through my banking activity? She asked. You tied our finances together. That makes your activity relevant. Her tone shifted instantly. You are acting paranoid. That word almost made me laugh. Paranoid men invent stories. Careful men preserve timelines. Why did Daniel visit the house 12 times while I traveled for work? Another silence. Longer this time. Then she recovered fast. Too fast. You tracked the security system? You installed half of it yourself. So you monitored me? I verified patterns. Olivia exhaled slowly. I could hear her thinking now. Calculating. Revising. The same woman who ended our marriage in 14 seconds suddenly sounded cornered because the invisible structure underneath our life had started shifting under her feet. Then she asked the one question that changed everything. How much do you actually know about Daniel? I sat upright instantly. Until that moment, I thought I was investigating emotional betrayal. The tension in her voice suggested something much larger. After that call, I stopped seeing Olivia as my wife and started seeing her as a variable inside a larger equation. The next morning, I woke up before sunrise inside the furnished apartment and checked my email. 3 new messages waited in my inbox. One from Richard, one from Olivia, one from an unknown sender using a private Proton mail address. I opened Richard's email first. He attached preliminary recommendations for asset protection and advised me to freeze any major joint withdrawals above $5,000. Your spouse likely anticipates emotional negotiations, he wrote. Maintain procedural distance. Procedural distance. I like that phrase. It created structure around pain. Olivia's email carried a completely different tone. Ethan, you are spiraling. Daniel helped me look at apartments because I felt trapped for months. That is all. Please stop acting like I betrayed you. Interesting wording. She focused on betrayal before I accused her of an affair. That detail mattered. Guilty people rush toward defense before questions arrive. I read her message twice, then archived it beside screenshots of the hidden transfers and the apartment listings. Finally, I opened the anonymous email. One sentence appeared above a compressed file attachment. You deserve the full picture. My jaw tightened instantly. I downloaded the attachment onto an isolated drive before opening it. Years in cybersecurity taught me caution. Inside the folder sat dozens of screenshots, Slack conversations, calendar invites, expense reports, hotel reservations tied to Olivia's corporate account. Several messages between her and Daniel stretched back nearly 8 months. The emotional tone escalated gradually. First inside jokes, then late-night conversations, then phrases married people never send coworkers. One screenshot froze my hand over the keyboard. Daniel. Once Ethan signs the refinance paperwork, everything gets easier. Timestamp. 3 months earlier. I leaned back slowly and reread the sentence 5 times. Suddenly, every puzzle piece shifted into place. The kitchen renovation. The pressure to refinance. Olivia pushing me toward larger joint investments while secretly opening separate accounts. She never planned an emotional exit alone. She planned a financial landing zone first. My phone buzzed again. Olivia. This time I answered immediately. Did you access my email? She asked sharply. No greeting again. Her anxiety now outran her pride. Somebody sent me information. Silence. Fast breathing. Then another question. What information? Enough to understand why you wanted the refinance completed before ending the marriage. She inhaled hard. I heard movement, then a car door slam. Olivia sounded mobile now. Restless people move when pressure builds. Ethan, listen carefully, she said. Daniel exaggerated things. He talks big. He makes plans that never happen. Plans involving my mortgage? You are twisting this. Am I? Another silence. Then her voice cracked for the first time since our separation started. I never thought you would leave this fast. There it was. The truth finally surfaced beneath all the strategy. Olivia expected emotional dependency. She expected tears, bargaining, delayed reactions, maybe months of confusion while she reorganized her future behind the scenes. My silence destroyed her timeline. "You already left emotionally," I said calmly. "I just adjusted the paperwork." She whispered my name softly after that, almost fragile. For a second, I remembered the woman I married at 26. Then another message notification hit my screen while we were still on the call. Unknown number. Check Daniel Brooks, LLC registration in Florida. I opened the attached public filing document and felt my stomach tighten instantly. The registered mailing address matched the Sarasota beach. Property Olivia spent 6 months pressuring me to invest in. The Sarasota document changed the entire shape of the story. Until then, I thought Olivia drifted emotionally toward another man while preparing a cleaner exit strategy. After reading those LLC filings, I realized she and Daniel built infrastructure together long before she ended our marriage. That meant planning, timelines, coordination, financial intent. I spent the next 6 hours inside Richard Levinson's office reviewing every document connected to our refinance agreement. Richard spread papers across the conference table with the calm precision of a surgeon. "Your wife pushed aggressively for joint liability expansion," he said while highlighting sections with a silver pen. "That usually signals one of two things: long-term nesting plans or pre-separation positioning. Which one fits this situation?" I asked. Richard slid the Sarasota filing toward me. "This fits pre-separation positioning." He explained it step by step. The refinance increased accessible equity inside our primary residence. If Olivia convinced me to co-invest in the Florida property through Daniel's LLC structure, shared marital funds would begin flowing into an asset partially controlled by somebody outside the marriage. Complicated ownership chains create leverage during divorce negotiations, especially when emotions delay discovery. "You moved faster than they expected," Richard said. "That disrupted the sequence." Sequence. Another cold word that perfectly described betrayal. Olivia never planned a dramatic escape. She planned a staged transition where my financial stability quietly funded her next chapter while I stayed emotionally distracted. Around noon, I finally checked social media for the first time in days. Olivia viewed my LinkedIn profile 3 separate times since midnight. She also reactivated an old shared photo album we had not touched in years. That move caught my attention immediately. People revive memories when panic replaces certainty. Then another detail surfaced. Daniel blocked me across every platform overnight. Fast reactions expose fear faster than arguments ever will. I forwarded screenshots to Richard. "Good," he replied. "Pressure changes behavior." Later that afternoon, I returned to the apartment carrying 2 duffel bags and a stack of legal folders. The leasing agent downstairs nodded at me while sorting mail behind the front desk. "Your wife came by earlier," she said casually. My body froze for half a second. "Excuse me." Blonde woman, mid-30s. She asked whether you signed a 6-month or yearly lease. Interesting. Olivia moved quickly once uncertainty entered the equation. "What did you tell her?" "Nothing useful." She seemed upset. I rode the elevator upstairs replaying that sentence in my head. She seemed upset. Olivia never tolerated informational disadvantage. During our marriage, she tracked every moving piece inside our life. Bills, schedules, password recovery emails, flight details, even grocery spending patterns. She framed it as organization. Now she suddenly stood outside a building asking strangers questions because access vanished overnight. Inside the apartment, I opened my laptop and checked the shared cloud storage account we used for tax records. Multiple failed login attempts appeared from Olivia's device around 11:42 a.m., then another from an IP address registered to her office downtown. She tried brute forcing old passwords we used years earlier during our first apartment together. The realization hit me instantly. Olivia was no longer trying to save the marriage. She was trying to measure damage. My phone buzzed seconds later with a text from her. "Who else have you talked to?" Short sentence. Sharp wording. Pure fear underneath. Before I could answer, another notification appeared from the smart home app connected to our old house. Motion detected. Master bedroom safe. The master bedroom safe contained 3 things: my passport, Olivia's jewelry folder, and an empty document sleeve labeled Florida Property Draft. I stared at the live camera feed from my apartment couch, while Olivia crouched in front of the open safe holding papers against her chest like somebody racing against a clock. Her movements looked frantic now. Fast hands, sharp turns, constant phone checking. Pressure destroys elegance. I recorded the entire feed directly onto a local drive before calling Richard. She accessed the safe? I said. Good, he replied immediately. That means she thinks evidence still exists inside the house. You sound pleased. Because panic accelerates mistakes. 10 minutes later, Richard emailed emergency recommendations. Change every remaining shared password. Remove Olivia from cloud synchronization. Freeze document editing permissions. Preserve every digital footprint. I followed every step carefully. During marriage, people trust convenience more than security. Shared calendars. Shared storage. Shared tax software. Shared banking alerts. Shared streaming accounts. Couples slowly merge identities until separation turns into forensic reconstruction. While updating credentials, I noticed another unusual login attempt targeting one of my dormant cryptocurrency wallets. Olivia never cared about crypto during our marriage. She called it digital gambling for tech brothers. Yet somebody suddenly tried accessing recovery phrases tied to my old investment accounts at 3:12 p.m. using an IP address linked to downtown Chicago. Her office. I leaned back slowly and realized something important. Olivia was searching wider now. She no longer knew where my real leverage sat. 3 days earlier, she controlled the emotional atmosphere inside our marriage. Now she hunted blind through financial systems trying to measure exposure. That shift changed the power balance completely. Around dinner time, my mother called. Linda Carter rarely inserted herself into my marriage, which made her sudden concern significant. Olivia showed up here earlier, she said carefully. She cried. That almost shocked me more than the hidden accounts. Olivia hated appearing emotionally weak in front of family. She built her identity around composure and competence. What did she say? I asked. She said you were overreacting and shutting her out. I laughed quietly before I could stop myself. Interesting choice of words. My mother stayed silent for a moment. Then she lowered her voice. Ethan, I have known that woman for 11 years. Today felt different. She looked scared. After the call ended, I sat alone, replaying those words. Olivia looked scared. Not sad. Not heartbroken. Scared. That distinction mattered. Real grief mourns connection. Fear calculates consequences. At 8:40 p.m., another notification appeared from the smart home system. Front door opened, then closed, then opened again 15 minutes later. I switched to the driveway camera feed and saw Daniel Brooks walking toward the house, carrying a leather messenger bag. My chest tightened instantly. He entered like somebody familiar with the property layout. No hesitation. No awkwardness. No uncertainty about the alarm system. He knew the code already. I watched the timestamp carefully while recording everything. 43 minutes later, Daniel exited the house alone. His face looked tense. Olivia followed him outside barefoot, arguing intensely beside his car. No audio reached the camera, but body language reveals more than words sometimes. Daniel raised both hands repeatedly, like somebody trying to calm a situation spinning out of control. Olivia pointed toward the house twice, then toward her phone. Daniel shook his head hard. Then he drove away. 5 minutes later, my phone rang again. Olivia. I answered immediately. Her breathing sounded uneven. Did you change the trust access authorization? She asked. My heartbeat slowed instantly. Trust authorization. She never mentioned the family trust before. Because until tonight, she never knew I controlled one. For 11 years, Olivia treated our marriage like shared territory. Shared accounts. Shared plans. Shared routines. Yet somehow the family trust never entered a single conversation between us. That happened by design. My grandfather built Carter Industrial Supply from a two-man warehouse operation in Indiana during the late 70s. When he died, the trust transferred quietly through bloodline protections and layered management structures designed to survive divorces, lawsuits, and failed businesses. I never touched the principal. The trust generated passive distributions twice a year and funded long-term investments through holding companies Richard managed for my family. Olivia knew I came from money. She never understood how much of it sat outside marital exposure. Who told you about the trust? I asked calmly. Silence hit the line immediately. Then I heard Olivia breathing harder. Daniel found paperwork months ago, she admitted softly. What paperwork? Tax records. Old estate documents. So that was it. Curiosity became strategy the moment Daniel entered the picture. And what exactly did Daniel think he found? Another pause. Then she finally said it. He thought you were hiding assets from the marriage. I almost laughed. Daniel built theories around fragments because people like him mistake confidence for intelligence. The trust existed before I met you, I replied. Which means legally it changes nothing. That is not what Daniel said. There it was again. Daniel said. Daniel thought. Daniel planned. Olivia sounded less like a wife defending herself and more like somebody trapped inside another person's script. Did Daniel convince you the Sarasota property could become partially funded through trust distributions? I asked. Her silence answered faster than words ever could. My chest tightened with something colder than anger. Disappointment carries a quieter edge. Olivia spent years watching me build stable systems around our life. Retirement projections, emergency reserves, insurance structures, investment diversification. She once called me emotionally boring, but financially bulletproof. Turns out bulletproof attracts thieves too. Ethan, she whispered carefully, I never wanted things to explode like this. You refinanced a marriage while planning an exit route. It started emotional first. Then why did the financial planning begin months before the separation? She stopped answering after that. Because timelines destroy emotional manipulation. Facts remove fog. At 11 p.m., Richard called with another update. Your wife contacted a forensic accountant this afternoon, he said. She wants an emergency consultation. Why? Because she thinks you concealed major assets during the marriage. I leaned back against the couch slowly. Olivia had shifted from emotional panic into damage control. That escalation mattered. Can she touch the trust? I asked. Richard laughed quietly. Ethan, your grandfather built that structure during the Reagan administration. Oil crashes, lawsuits, divorces, tax reforms. That trust survived everything. Your wife has bigger problems, such as Daniel Brooks filed dissolution paperwork for his Florida LLC 6 hours ago. My pulse slowed instantly. He is collapsing the company? Looks that way. Which means somebody finally explained exposure risk to him. That changed everything again. Until now, Daniel operated like a confident architect building a future behind my back. Suddenly, he was dismantling structures as fast as possible. Fear spreads quickly once legal consequences become real. 30 minutes later, another message arrived from Olivia. No anger this time. No accusations. Just one photo. Our wedding picture from 11 years ago at Lake Geneva. Beneath it, she typed a single sentence. I think Daniel lied to me about a lot of things. I stared at the message for nearly a full minute before another notification appeared underneath it. Incoming call, Daniel Brooks. Daniel spoke before I could say hello. I need you to listen before Olivia talks to you again. His voice sounded strained, fast, unstable. The confidence I saw outside my house 2 nights earlier had vanished completely. That depends, I said calmly. Are you finally planning to tell the truth? Silence hit the line for a second. Then he exhaled sharply. Olivia never planned this level of damage. Interesting. He framed himself like an observer instead of a participant. You opened an LLC tied to property discussions involving my marriage, I replied. You coached my wife through financial restructuring. Spare me the innocent bystander routine. You think this started as some giant scam? He snapped. It started because she was miserable. There it was again. Emotional justification layered over strategic behavior. People always romanticize selfishness after consequences arrive. Daniel explained everything in bursts after that. The late nights. The Sarasota conversations. The refinance pressure. According to him, Olivia spent nearly a year complaining about our marriage before anything emotional happened between them. She described me as emotionally distant, too analytical, too controlled. She said living with you felt like living inside a financial planning seminar, Daniel muttered. Funny thing was, part of that accusation carried truth. I built systems because systems survive chaos. Budgets, schedules, risk assessments, backup plans. Olivia once loved that stability. Then she started resenting the structure protecting her life because structure feels boring to people chasing emotional adrenaline. So what changed? I asked. Daniel hesitated. The trust. My eyes narrowed instantly. Explain. Olivia found estate documents while organizing tax files months ago. She realized your actual net worth looked much larger than what hit your joint returns. There it was. Raw honesty finally entering the conversation. Daniel continued carefully now. At first she just felt angry. She thought you kept secrets from her. The trust predates the marriage, I said coldly. Legally and structurally. I know that now, he replied quickly. But Olivia thought you hid security from her while making her depend emotionally on you. That sentence sat in my head longer than expected. Olivia spent years calling me predictable while quietly depending on the exact predictability she criticized. Daniel admitted he pushed the Sarasota property idea because he thought shared investments would eventually pressure me into partial funding conversations involving trust distributions. I never expected lawyers and forensic accountants to get involved this fast, he admitted quietly. I thought you would fight emotionally first. Everybody expected emotions. Nobody expected discipline. Why call me now? I asked. Daniel stayed silent again before finally answering. Because Olivia is spiraling. That word carried genuine concern this time. He explained how Olivia stopped sleeping, skipped work meetings, and spent hours trying to reconstruct financial timelines from old records. She checked account activity obsessively, refreshed legal databases, called 3 different advisors in 48 hours. She thought she understood the game, Daniel said. Now she thinks everybody manipulated her. Did you manipulate her? Another pause. Longer this time. I encouraged fantasies she already wanted to believe. Honest answer. Finally, around midnight, the call ended without threats or yelling, just exhaustion. I sat alone staring at the city lights outside the apartment window while replaying every conversation from the past week. Then my phone buzzed again. Olivia. One message. Daniel just admitted everything to me. A second message appeared immediately after. And I think I destroyed my life for somebody who never even planned to stay. Then a third message arrived that changed the entire direction of the divorce. I found something in Daniel's files you need to see. Olivia arrived at my apartment the next evening carrying a manila folder against her chest like it contained the last stable piece of her life. I opened the door and immediately noticed the difference in her face. The sharp confidence she carried for years had collapsed into exhaustion. Her eyes looked swollen. Her posture looked smaller. Fear strips performance away from people eventually. She stepped inside slowly and placed the folder on the kitchen counter without speaking. I read everything, she said quietly. Inside the folder sat printed emails between Daniel and a private investment consultant in Miami. Spreadsheets, property projections, equity scenarios. One sentence near the top of the stack pulled all the air from the room. Once Olivia secures partial access to the Carter Trust distributions, we can scale faster. My jaw tightened instantly. Daniel never planned romance. He planned leverage. Olivia sank into a chair and covered her face with both hands. I thought he cared about me, she whispered. He studied me. That line stayed with me because it revealed the final layer of the disaster. Olivia spent months believing she was escaping emotional confinement while another man quietly converted her resentment into opportunity. She looked up at me slowly. You were right about everything. Funny thing about those words. They arrived too late to matter. No, I said calmly. I was careful. There is a difference. She started crying after that. Real crying this time. Messy. Uncontrolled. The kind people fail to fake because humiliation finally crushes ego hard enough to expose reality underneath. I ruined our marriage chasing a fantasy, she said between breaths. I kept telling myself you stopped loving me because you stopped reacting emotionally. I stayed silent and let her talk. Olivia admitted everything over the next hour. Daniel made her feel exciting again after years of routine. He framed my stability as emotional distance. He convinced her that smart women outgrow safe men. Every frustration inside our marriage slowly turned into evidence supporting his narrative. Then the trust documents changed the tone completely. Daniel started talking about future positioning and shared expansion opportunities. Olivia told herself it meant building a future together. Looking back, she finally saw the manipulation hidden underneath the language. I thought you were hiding security from me, she whispered. Meanwhile, I was helping somebody calculate how to access yours. That sentence finally hurt. Not because of money. Because Olivia understood too late what she traded away. I walked toward the kitchen window and stared at the Chicago skyline glowing against the night. 11 years together. Vacations. Family holidays. Mortgage payments. Late-night takeout dinners. Hospital waiting rooms. Career sacrifices. Shared passwords. Shared dreams. People assume betrayal explodes in one giant moment. Usually it erodes quietly through repeated disrespect until one person finally realizes they are standing inside ruins alone. Behind me, Olivia spoke again. Is there any chance to fix this? I closed my eyes for a second before answering honestly. You stopped protecting us long before I left the house. Silence filled the apartment after that. Heavy silence. Permanent silence. Olivia nodded slowly because deep down she already knew the answer before asking the question. She stood up, wiped her face, and walked toward the door carrying the same folder that destroyed whatever remained between us. Before leaving, she turned back one final time. Daniel lost everything too, she said quietly. The company collapsed. His investors pulled out. His girlfriend in Miami left him yesterday. I nodded once without emotion. Consequences eventually collect every debt. After she left, I sat alone in the apartment replaying the entire collapse in my head until my phone buzzed one last time near midnight. Unknown number. One sentence. You still do not know who sent the first anonymous email. Sometimes the most dangerous person in a betrayal story never sits at the center of it.